All right, we're back. I wasn't able to go on last night because it was a pretty long day, actually. Had to go out and do some client work and didn't wind up getting back until well after midnight, which is one of the reasons why I'm, wearing this shirt that frankly has Siamese cat hair all over it. So, yeah, we're back, and now we have, I figured out, I think, what was going on with the chat. So if you want to chat, everything should work now. Apparently there's a glitch in OBS, so now the cameras are working, all the audio is working, and everything else technical is working, except the chat decided to give up the ghost because apparently there's something with the way that the video card draws the, I guess, the overlay, and I fixed it. But I'm actually going to get a new toy, which should make things a lot easier so I don't have to screw with OBS so much. I actually have my commercial live stream set up here, which is actually what I'm using to do the live streams right now. So I actually have my my big ATEM Pro, like my ATEM Television Studio Pro, which is what I use for some of the larger or medium to large corporate shoots. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that is on there that I don't really need for simple live streams, but I have it, and it's sort of in the off season. So right now I figured, well, you know what? I may as well just use it for these live streams and work out all the kinks and things that I wanted to set up and make sure that everything is working the way I want to on these kind of late night live streams. Although it's not that late right now, but usually these ones are pretty late. So now, I mean, everything is working, and I can do alpha channels and all kinds of stuff. But I'm actually broadcasting out of a pretty small room here at home. So honestly, a lot of this is overkill. So I've got a light that's pretty much right in my face, and I have a big, huge television camera that's not that far away from me, and then I have the GoPro to my immediate right, and it's just, I don't need it. And so everything to get live streaming is a big song and dance. So it's a semi-permanent setup, but it's eating up most of the space in this room, which I don't really care for. So what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to buy one of these YOLO Box Pros that apparently will work. And what I really like is I like the ability to have people chat. I really like being able to see that. I think other people like it as well. And now the channel's starting to get some nice comments and some engagement. So I want to make it as easy as possible. And I also like to, you know, have various various types of engagement, which is really nice. What I will probably start to do is I will wind up probably setting something up on Switch as well. Actually, I noticed that the username that I was going to use, it's somebody that's actually using one of my own company's trademarks. So if he doesn't give up his username, then I might have to get my lawyer to come in and take it from him. So hopefully, I hate to have to come down on somebody, but they are using a proprietary name, and it is our property, and he can't be using that. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's life. It is what it is. So yeah. The one of the things that I'm really excited about this live streaming box is that I like the fact that I can just kind of turn it on and go. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that it can't do. I mean, there's a basic scoreboard on it, which is fine. It wouldn't be something that you would really want to use for major commercial stuff. Like, it wouldn't be something I would be using for, say, for Fox Sports. But for a simple get it up and go, and then having people be able to make comments and talk and that sort of thing while we're doing the live stream, it's great. It's very professional. It's basic. So you're not going to have stuff like, for example, you're not going to have really complicated live graphics that have a lot of alpha channels, live transitions, pulling JSON and website data and updating them in real time as you would if you were doing a major sports broadcast. But if you're trying to just get on the internet quickly, say on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook Live or whatever, and you want a professional broadcast quality stream that you can get up and running quickly, it's perfect, right? You can certainly make PNG files with transparency. They're not animated, but you can make your own lower thirds in Photoshop and bring them in, and you can certainly bring that kind of stuff in, and you can bring in videos that are already done and play them back. Just my understanding is right now, you can't actually do anything with, for example, MOV files with transparency or anything like that. Not yet. That isn't to say that they won't put something like that in the firmware later, but right now, that's a little bit of a deal breaker. But for what I'm doing right now, which is just trying to be able to talk to you and cross promote with our television broadcasts on Fox, ABC, CBS, and whatever, it's great. And I also like that I can take it wherever I want to, and it's small enough. It's basically a little bit bigger than a large cell phone and a really small tablet, and that's fantastic. And I like the fact that it works with Wi-Fi. I like the fact that I can tether it, and it also has the ability I can put a SIM card in it. So, for example, if I've got data with SaskTel, I can put that SIM card right in it, and so long as I have enough data to deal with the broadcast, then I can do that, which is really nice. So I can go and I can do something interesting and go from there, which I really like. So that's something I'm going to try. So as soon as that arrives, I'm going to start doing tests with it. I've heard some comments that apparently it has difficulty with stereo as far as doing stuff with music and the stuff I have over here. That's a little bit of a deal breaker, but I think that those were confined primarily to the YOLO box, the first one, not the Pro, because it has a mic in as far as I know, but not a line in. So it doesn't have a TRS, it has TS, so it's mono only, as far as I know. As far as I know. So if it has a stereo in, then there should be a way to have the software with stereo. So with any luck, I'll just be able to use GoPros entirely, because the quality of the GoPros are amazing. We shoot quite a bit of Go Nitro just with GoPros. They're relatively inexpensive cameras. The picture quality on them is fantastic, and you can just turn them on. I mean, the batteries don't last too long. They'll run maybe about an hour or so, and depending on how much of a draw, they don't last that long on the batteries. But you can plug them in if you're doing live streaming. And now that I've actually managed to go into the menu and figure out to tell the damn thing not to turn off, then there's no problem, right? I've had this thing running for quite some time. I finally managed to get one of the broadcasts to work without a hitch, and yeah, so it's a learning experience. The other thing that was interesting, I don't know if it was because of this live stream or I don't know what, but the interesting thing is I was bitching about, as everybody knows, I'm a huge Syracuse Orange fan. I'm not wearing my hoodie today, but that's my main team. I love the Rough Riders too, but I got this for $50 at Canadian Tire, and I needed something warm. In Saskatchewan, we call hoodies bunny hugs. I didn't come up with that expression. That's just what we call them. And but yeah, so this I got at Canadian Tire for $50, and it's comfortable and it's always seems to be available, and so I wear it. So going back to Syracuse, because I'm getting way off topic here. So that company, Die Hard Fan Supply, that I guess took over from Fanatics, they had the contract for Syracuse University. They had the contract for the store and the fan fulfillment stuff and everything else. I had ordered a T-shirt 2-3 weeks ago, and never showed up, never arrived, no indication that it had ever been shipped. And I sent them a bunch of emails saying, hey, like, it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What the is going on? No response, no nothing. Well, I finally got a response from them yesterday, and they're claiming that it will ship in 2 days, and they sent a notification or whatever that the United States Postal Service has a notification that it's going to be put in the mail. So we'll see. I still think the fact that I had to basically badger them for 3 weeks is absolutely unacceptable. And I don't think that they ever would have contacted me if I hadn't. And, it shouldn't. The fact that I'm producing a TV series in syndication that runs on Fox shouldn't be the thing that gets them to go, oh, shit, you know what, maybe we better ship it. 3 weeks is unacceptable. I get that things happen in the world of manufacturing. I get it. Things happen. Suppliers are sometimes unreliable. We're in the middle of COVID-19, so a lot of the supplies, especially overseas, are drying up. I mean, I get that. I completely get it. I mean, I am not altogether unsympathetic to things happening, but there is no indication that it was out of stock. There was no indication that they were running low. There's no indication whatsoever that anything was amiss at all. Absolutely nothing. So if you're having problems, just email or call or spend 2 minutes or just say, hey, listen, we really appreciate your order. We know that you ordered this thing. We're having some supply difficulties and we're working on it, and we should be able to give you an update in a week or two. Just right now, we're kind of SOL, and we just don't have the information right now. That I would understand. I completely get it. If somebody just tell me what's going on. Don't make me bug you because you can't be arsed to be professional. You don't even, fuck it. You don't even have to pick up the phone. Just send me an email saying, hey, we got your order. We're just having some supply difficulties right now, and we're working on fixing them, and we'll let you know as soon as possible. We'll check back in with you in a week or two. That's it. That's it. I'm not one of these people that is going to throw a huge temper tantrum because I want it now. Things happen. We're in the middle of COVID. I'm fortunate enough to be employed, self-employed. I run a company. I am fortunate enough to do what I like. I own my house outright. I'm good. I mean, it's life is good. So I'm not one of these people that is going to freak out. But one of the things that I do have a real problem with is I have a problem when I contact somebody and they're silent. That really bothers me. I go to a lot of trouble to try to be professional when I run my company, and I don't, some people, every so often you'll have a client that they don't give you the deliverables that you need to start or whatever. Well, then that's kind of on them. But the onus is on you to be professional enough to keep the lines of communication going. Shit happens, be honest about it. You know what I mean? Or at least say something that indicates that you acknowledge that you've received, like that. You know what I mean? Because otherwise it just looks like theft, right? If I buy something and I don't hear fuck all for 3 weeks, then as far as I'm concerned, you've dicked off with my money, and I don't like that. Or if you're having supply problems, just tell me. Just tell me. I get it. But I will give them partial credit for contacting me the other day. But again, I had to contact them a number of times. I sent them, I think, 2 or 3 emails from 2 different accounts. I sent it from my work account, from Skycross, which I shouldn't have to do. I shouldn't have to take time out of my day to chase you down because you didn't do your job. I shouldn't have to go to the Better Business Bureau and open up a complaint.
I shouldn't have to say, this is what I do for my job so that I'm accorded enough importance for you to do yours. That's not professional, and that's something that I don't really appreciate. It shouldn't have taken that degree of effort just to get a response. If you are having supply problems down the chain, then you should be able to just open up your email client or your webmail or semaphore, smoke signals, whatever the fuck you're using. I don't care. Just tell me, listen, there's been a delay. We got your email. We hear ya. We're working on it. Hang tight. That's it. This is not a complicated concept. It really isn't. I find that this is a lot more prevalent in Canada than in the US. So it was very interesting to see a US company in the South, no less, doing that. Isn't to say, I mean, there's asshole companies everywhere. I mean, there's no geographic limit on assholism and general abject dickishness. But I find that in the United States, which frankly is my main market, I find that generally the barrier or the bar of service is a lot higher, right? It's easier to have a real conversation with somebody and have somebody identify with you with customer service in the United States and in Canada. I find in Canada, again, this isn't everybody, but I find that it's far more prevalent. I find in Canada, customer service is more argumentative, right? They are very argumentative. They take things personally. They have a really shitty attitude. I find a lot of Canadian companies have a very piss poor attitude. They will get in your face. They will do anything and everything to avoid having to take any kind of responsibility for the problem. And I'm not talking, and I get it. I mean, back when I was in university, college, I'd done the customer service thing. I mean, people are crazy. You do have people that come in and they want the world for free, and I'm going to call my lawyer, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and they're the ones that forgot to do something. But there's a big difference between somebody that's being a problem and somebody that is saying, hey, I didn't get what I paid for, and if something's going on, let me know. I understand, but let me know. Then if you have the person on the other side of the line flipping out and turning around and saying, well, I'm going to call security because I don't like what you said. Well, you fucking call them all you like. They're going to just turn around and laugh. You're the one that didn't send any messages. You're the one that didn't ship my bloody product. You're the one that is holding my money, and I'm asking you what you're going to do about it. You don't have the right to get upset. I have the right to get upset. I have the right to do quite a bit to make sure that I get what I paid for. So you can can the attitude and shut the hell up and tell me what the hell is going on, and maybe I won't do a chargeback. Maybe I won't call the cops. And maybe, just maybe, I might come back. But if you give me a bunch of attitude when you're the one that screwed up, you're not going to like A, what I have to say, B, what I'm going to do about it, and C, you're going to wish that you never talked to me that way. Oh, is that a threat? Yeah, it's not a threat. It's a promise. I can call the Better Business Bureau. I can report to the relevant authorities if I need to. And, if you're adjudicated by a particular, like if you are in a profession that is regulated, then yeah, I'm going to complain. I'm not going to complain right away. But if you're going to turn around and you're going to give me a power trip and say, what are you going to do about it? I'm kind of informed in my line of work. I have a lot of people I can call. I don't want to be a problem. I don't want to complain. I don't even want to be here. I just want what I paid for. That's it. I don't, you must like confrontation. No, I don't like confrontation. I don't. And I don't like it when I'm being polite and I've spent a lot of money on a product or money on any product, and I'm coming in and being polite and saying, hey, what's going on? Can you please give me an update? And then I'm getting this. I don't like that. And I guess there's a lot of people that will put up with it. I will not. There's a difference between liking confrontation and not tolerating bad behavior, poor service, and whatever. And I find in Canada, you get a lot of people that are used to behaving in an unacceptable, unprofessional way. And what ends up happening is the odd person like me that doesn't have a problem going in and saying, hey, what gives? They don't know how to deal with it. So what they do is they point the finger thinking that I'm going to go like this, when in reality, I'm going to draw a much harder line in the sand. And I'm going to be more likely to, you could call it being difficult, but I'm going to be more likely to push the issue. If you made an error, then the onus is on you to fix it. You can't intimidate me. You can't mouth off at me. I won't tolerate it. The only thing that I will tolerate is getting what I paid for. And you know what? And the same thing goes, and that kind of thing works both ways. You go into shops and you see people, and you see signs, and they say, verbal abuse will not be tolerated. And it shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be. If you go in and you start arguing with some poor kid that's making like, 10 or 11 bucks an hour, you're an asshole, right? I mean, when you were in college, university, and you were working at, some grocery store or whatever, it's not an easy job, and people are dicks. But if you go and you ask, let's say you go and the price checker shows that I don't know, we'll pick a funny fruit, bananas. Bananas are funny. So let's say I go and I want to buy bananas, and it says that the bananas are, I don't know, 69 cents a pound. 69, that's another funny number, right? And then I go to pay for it. I go up to the till and I pay for it. And it says that bunch of bananas is going to be $82.53. Now, if I turn around and say politely, ooh, that seems off, and the cashier turns around to me and says, well, no, actually it is, then I'm going to turn around and say, well, no, actually it isn't. Look at the sign in the SKU. I find a lot of the time in Canada, if this happens, the person will continue to argue with you, and they'll turn around and they'll go, well, no, it's not, and you're mistaken, sir. No, I'm not mistaken, sir. I don't like your tone. You're going to like my tone a lot fucking less if you keep this up. Do I need to call somebody? Yeah, call your manager that knows how to read a fucking number. Don't try to intimidate me for crying out loud. I'm in a family full of engineers. If there's anything that I know how to do, it's how to add. Well, the computer says, I don't care what the computer says. It's called basic math. I didn't do this new math. You know what I mean? But what'll happen is you get this, and this gets confused as abuse, right? So what happens is you get these morons, and they're so used to their unreasonable position on something, and they don't know the difference between fact or opinion either, right? It used to be that 2 plus 2, and you know what? I'm going on a bit of a soapbox here, and I often go on about this, and I see this all the time. And this is pretty much the equivalent. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, well, mathematically, there is no debate for the fact that 2 plus 2 does in fact equal 4. And that was a logical, indisputable, and still is, that this is a universal truth of math. Math is math. There's no opinion in math. Math is either right or it isn't. This is not a complicated concept. Now we live in a world that you go on social media and you get hundreds of people that say, well, we've decided that the absolution of fact is offensive. We're offended. And we have decided that because this is in violation of our safe space, there's another two words you hear a lot, safe space, that we've decided that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of us, or thousands and thousands and thousands of us who are equally uneducated and don't know what the fuck we're talking about, are going to turn around and assert that 2 plus 2 now equals 5 on the basis that majority rules. You say that 2 plus 2 equals 4 and that it's a fact. Well, you know what? There's more of us than there are of you, so we say 2 plus 2 equals 5. This makes us feel safe in our safe space. All right. Well, let me ask you something about your precious, famous safe space, okay? See, this is why I like math so much. Let's go into some basic shit here, shall we? All right. You have an aircraft. The aircraft has an airframe. In order to safely get in the air, once you're in the air, there's a lot of pressure in the air that is pounding down on the airframe. So without going too technical into this, basically an aircraft cabin needs to be pressurized, right? There has to be an equilibrium between the amount of air that's pushing out of the cabin, and it has to equal the amount of pressure on the outside of the aircraft, the actual atmosphere and the air, so that it doesn't push in or push out. So it has to compensate. This involves math. Now, if 2 plus 2 now equals 5, and the threshold of keeping something pressurized equal is 4 on the outside, or 4 on the inside, that also means it would have to be 4 on the outside. But you decide that you think that 5 is now 2 plus 2, and therefore the outside of the aircraft is 5 rather than 4. Well, 5 is greater than 4, isn't it, kids? Can we all agree on that? Well, maybe we can't, but you will, at least for a fraction of a second, when the pressure causes the entire structural integrity of the aircraft cabin to collapse, and then it ruptures and everybody flies out and the plane tears itself apart and everybody dies. How's your fucking opinion then? How are you going to argue that? Are you going to turn around and argue with the laws of physics that, you know, just because you think it's 5, that it's just going to tear itself apart? Come on. Like, just come on. We have turned into a... Sorry, my dog has decided to run commentary. Tilt, go lie down. Go lie down. Now. Yeah, these are the perils, if you want to call it that, from live streaming at home. He has nothing to complain about, believe me. He's got treats, he's got toys. He he was taken out for like an hour and a half in the bush yesterday, and to the point where he was just so exhausted he was just lying down and gnawing on what was at one point a basketball. So he has nothing to complain about, and he's going to be going out for another run with me later on tonight. So between the toys and the beef jerky and all the attention that he gets, I think he can chill out for a bit. He's a supermodel, right? So he's a Alaskan Malamute, giant Alaskan Malamute King Shepherd, which is a large German Shepherd mix. And once I get the portable YOLO Box Pro, the cool thing about it is I'll actually probably be able to show him to you. And he's very charming. In fact, a lot of the time what will happen is I'll go into stores and, you know, people will go, oh, well, do you want to bring him in because he's cute, right? He's big and he's generally fairly well behaved in stores. But yeah. although it's getting to the point where it's time for his nuts to be chopped off and put in a bag, I think, a surgical bag, the little snippy snippets. It's that time in everyone's life, boys and girls. It's he's going through puberty, so he's enjoying the finer things of sniffing the asses of a little more than maybe he should, and he is starting to become a little belligerent in the way that typically happens. And he's a puppy, and he is a 150-pound dog. So, and he's not finished growing yet. But right now, he can't afford to lie down. So anyway, yeah, going back to this whole, yeah, and there's no end of it. Just the problem is we keep empowering this crap. It's ridiculous, and you can't. There's no degree of common sense either. It's you're either way over here or way over here. I mean, a lot of this stuff is legitimate. A lot of this stuff is legitimate, but you know there are problems with a lot of groups that are marginalized. Um, in Saskatchewan, there are two, and a lot of this stuff is legitimate, and a lot of these things are things that are legitimate and need to be changed, and people have every right to get angry about it. So I'm not talking about people that are angry about groups that are marginalized and things need to change, and there is racism, and there is discrimination, and there is legitimate um, issues. There are legitimate issues that need to be addressed. I don't have a problem. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that know full well that 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 it's a fashion. They don't actually have a real opinion one way or another. They want to jump on a bandwagon. So what they do is they turn around and they try and find some trending news thing about some person or group or whatever, real or imagined, that they're offended by and that they want to flip the discrimination card or what have you, regardless of whether in that particular case it is or is not legitimate. And then they want an angry mob. They don't actually care about, they say they do, and these are the people that are really dangerous. These are the people that are really dangerous. The people that that want to that are turning around and saying that they're a champion of this and they're a champion of that. They're not a champion of, oh well, I'm a lover and not a fighter. When in reality they are a passive aggressive fearmonger bully trying to clothe themselves in the idea of that they're an activist. No, you're not. You're a petty, vindictive asshole, and you are being passive aggressive, and you are trying to bait and and basically put people against the wall. One of the worst things that I see is anybody that starts a sentence with "so what you're saying is," and then they proceed to interpret that or twist that. Oh, so what you're saying is, just watch any of the videos with with Dr. Jordan Peterson. There's a lot of people that have a hate on for him, but if you actually listen to what he says, there's nothing even remotely offensive about what he says. He just calls things out. And then you hear people turn around to him and saying, "Well, you're saying that we don't have the right for this and that and the other thing." It's like, "No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that legislation of having to use certain language is, a dangerous slope. Not should I use that language? It's mandating particular language. But the idea of mandating particular language and asking to use that language, two different things. But, people don't, even though he repeats it over and over and over and over and over and over again, people just will argue the same point again and again and again and say they're right, and they're not actually listening. That's the problem. People don't listen to what's actually being said, and they don't listen to the intent behind what's being said. They want a hot button reaction, and then they want to poke and 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 poke. And then when somebody finally loses it, they say, see, this person is X, Y, Z. Well, if you turn around and you keep picking at somebody and you keep flogging them and you keep poking them again and again and again and again and again and again and again in a sore spot, eventually somebody's going to lose their temper. If you know that somebody has a sensitivity to something, and then you keep assaulting them with something that you know that they have a problem with, if they're not engaging and then they finally lose it, you can't go around and turn around and act like they're the one at fault. If are you if you're 4'9" and 90 pounds and you decide to go up to Mike Tyson and insult him or one of his family members, are you really going to turn around and say that if he beats the shit out of you, that it's entirely his fault? Is assault okay? No, it's not. Should you be able to regulate your emotions? Absolutely you should. Is assault is not okay, but if you go out deliberately trying to get a reaction from somebody who is minding their own business and you are looking for a fight, because if you go and you do this, that's what you're doing. Like a lot of these people that are on social media that do this, so what you're saying is, and I'm an activist and I'm a this and I'm a that and I'm whatever, which you're not, by the way. You are a bully that's looking for a reaction. You want to poke and poke and poke and poke and poke and poke until somebody explodes, so that you can call them a racist, so that you can call them a discriminatory individual or what have you. And what's dangerous about this, beyond just that, is it also takes credit and attention away from the people that really are. Every minute that you spend going after somebody that'll give you a quick emotional fix, that you're able to get them to lose your temper, is time that isn't really an enemy or whatever, of whatever position you're trying to push. That's time taken away from somebody that really is discriminatory, somebody that really is racist, somebody that really is a problem, and somebody that really is a danger that you need to be concentrating your attention on. The other thing that it does is that for every one of these self-proclaimed activists, anarchists, whatever kists, it that is doing it for a fashion, and I would argue that about 85% of that is what that is. And we're enabling this in the media too. That the legitimate individuals who really are trying to make a stand and make a change and trying to make things better, that the people that really are activists, the people that really are trying to eliminate racism, the people that are trying to fix inherent biases that sometimes occur in our justice system, in our various official systems, and the way things are, people that work very, very hard, and are legitimately trying to make things better for everyone, you're actually making their job harder. You self-proclaimed activists that, are just want a quick emotional reaction, you're not helping anybody. You're making things harder for the people that are trying to actually fix the very issues that you're wearing as a fashion statement to hide behind, to make up for your miserable life. And unfortunately, for now, those of you that are like that, right now, you've got social media and the mob and whatever, and a lot of organizations, it's good for numbers. So unfortunately, following your wrong-headed idea of justice is good for numbers. But we've seen this in the past, and it's not going to fly forever. if you're not actually going to be a part of the solution and actually do something about it, then you're part of the problem. Sitting on the internet screaming and yelling and passing judgment is not helping. Going out and waving flags and screaming and yelling on a street corner is not helping. Sitting and engaging in flame wars with people on the internet isn't helping. That's not helping. You're just a big mouth nobody on the internet, and there's a lot of you, and you're nothing but a bunch of bullies that then turn around and cry and then act like the victim when the odd person turns around and calls you on it. You are the problem. You are the problem. And I don't care what anybody says, that is the fact of the matter, and that's just the way it is. If you really wanted to solve the problem and you wanted to do something about it, then you would go out, you would raise funds. You would go and attend, you would go and try to do things where, you would go out and try to raise funds, and you would try to do roundtable discussions. You would do a TED talk. You would go and volunteer with your local police force. You would try to come up with programs for youth, right? To build relationships between law enforcement and marginalized groups, so that both you can, that can understand one another better. That trying to actually build something, having programs where people can go and learn about something, help people find jobs. That's helping. Donating money and setting something up that allows people to actively try and change issues, that's constructive. Sitting on the internet and whining and complaining and baiting people and then turning around with a smug, um, that's not. It's not helping. And that's why Dr. Peterson is famous. And, you know, any time that he is asked about something, he will engage with the person, even if they're going on and on. Like I will often watch him answer people that accuse him of something. He will answer it, and then they'll turn around and say, "Well, you didn't say that," or they'll act like he didn't say it, and then turn around and accuse him of the exact same thing, or say that's not what he said, because they're not listening. It's a real world version of it. Just nobody wants to listen. It honestly doesn't even come down to it. It really doesn't even. It's not even the individual group. It's just that people are more interested in hearing themselves talk, and they want a reaction, and they don't actually really want to solve the problem. I think they just want to get in a fight to make themselves feel better. And if that's the way you are, then okay, but at least say it. If you're looking for a fight, then say you're looking for a fight. Don't go out on a university campus and whine and bitch about your safe space or whatever when you're going out and antagonizing people because you've chosen to interpret something somebody has said as offensive to you because you don't actually want to take the time to listen to that information. Learn the difference between fact and opinion. Learn the difference between fact and opinion. It's the same shit with this COVID-19 stuff. Are you a virologist? Do you have a PhD? Is that what you do for a living? No? Well, then you probably are not in any position to talk about how effective a medication or a vaccine or whatever is or isn't. Yet, I see all of these kinds of idiots on the internet turning around and providing opinions about, and it's fine. You can have an opinion on that. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. That's fine. But keep it to yourself, and at least don't engage with other people about it. Just because something hasn't happened to you, you're not a doctor, so you don't know. And I have friends that like, I personally, I think that if you haven't gotten the vaccine, you're an idiot, or at least you've made an incorrect decision, and you can turn around and say I'm wrong all you like. The fact is, the math and the and the science backs me up and not you. So you can have hundreds and hundreds of people. But I have friends that are pro-vaccine, of which I am, and I have friends that are anti-vaccine. And I don't argue with them about the vaccine and try and change their mind. They don't get in my face. So I have friends that are both. I can have a friendship with somebody that I don't agree with on a particular opinion. It is okay to not agree. I'm not going in and pushing my agenda or my position on somebody if they're not asking for it. If I have a friend that's an anti-vaxxer, well, I don't really, it's not something I think is a great idea because I don't think that that's safe, but I'm not going to go in and push them, and I'm certainly not going to stop being friends with them because they have one thing that I don't agree with. We seem to have lost this ability to have a constructive discussion and debate. We seem to have collectively de-evolved to the point where every dispute is a I know you are, but what am I, of the sort that happened when we were in grade 3. It seems like everybody has mentally peaked at grade 3. You can't seem to have a pro-con and have an intelligent debate or discussion. It's this is this, and then the other person says this is this, and then one person says you're an idiot, the other person says, well, you're an idiot, and they get into a fight, and then they're not friends anymore. You don't have to agree on everything. You don't have to have a fight about everything. It is possible to have an intelligent discussion without twisting the other person's words. And we don't seem to have the emotional maturity to just sit down and have an intelligent discussion about things and have an exchange of ideas. I don't. And the problem is if you try and tell any of this stuff to anybody, then they just turn around and say, well, you must be, it's black or white, right? There's no shades of gray. It's either you're with us or against us. There's nothing in the middle. So if you try to tell somebody, even what I'm saying now, and what Dr. Peterson is saying, and what Ricky Gervais is saying, and what John Cleese is saying, and what a lot of highly intelligent, extremely well-educated individuals that take a great deal of care in delineating their position on communication and the way things have, if you want to call it, broken down since the dawn of social media. These are not stupid people. Yet, you look at the comment sections of, and you have hundreds of thousands of people on Twitter and on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok and WhatsApp and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Oh, well, they're an idiot and they're this and that and the other thing and they're the part of the problem and they're discriminatory and they're this and they're that. No. You don't have the emotional maturity to sit down and actually pay attention to the position that is being put in front of you. Moreover, when you're sitting there and you're actually making arguments like that, you're actually proving their point. When you watch a stream of these guys and they're talking about this stuff in an intelligent, measured manner, and you're turning around and saying, oh, well, they're this and they're discriminatory and they're whatever, you're actually proving their point. Not only are you proving their point, you're proving that A, you don't have you have neither the intellectual nor mental maturity to partake in that sort of a discourse. 2, you are showing that you're emotionally volatile. B, you're engaging in the most basic psychology 101 version of confirmation bias there is, that you're effectively skimming the material, if even that, and you're not actually adding anything to it. You're just, you have your position, you're not even watching it, so you're going to go on there and you're going to embarrass yourself by saying a bunch of bullshit, because there's all these other little nobodies on the internet that feel the same way you do, that have about the emotional capability and intellectual capability of a small peanut. You know what I mean? You're proving that point. And nobody ever actually has to take responsibility for what they say, because there's so many idiots on the internet that'll just sit there and agree with you. And I'm sure the more popular that this station, that this YouTube thing gets, I'm sure there's going to be some asshole that's going to turn around and say, I'm discriminatory, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm the other thing, because they didn't bother to actually listen to anything that I've said. And I've had to have debates with people where they are not actually listening to what I'm saying, and they get offended, and then they try to apply a narrative to what it is that I've actually said when they haven't actually listened to what I've said. And therefore, and you can't, it's like trying to talk to a bunch of religious zealots. You can't talk any sense into them. They basically go by ideology. Their entire argument, and I'm I'm using that term extremely liberally here. Their entire argument is predicated on these ad hominem to cock straw man arguments. And half of the stuff that goes on with this, they don't even know. They don't want to know. They don't have to know. They think they don't have to know, because they've got all these other little greebly idiots that are turning around and agreeing with them. And this is why we have so many arguments. This is why everybody's angry all the time. You look up, why is everybody so angry all the time on the internet? You've got Psychology Today that have actually some very interesting articles talking about that. And there's a number of other very interesting articles. But 10, 12 years ago, there wasn't this degree of anger and this sort of childish yelling and screaming. I mean, everything wasn't a fight all the time, and everybody's angry. And I think, and again, I am actually going to turn around and say this. What I am about to say is actually my opinion. This is my opinion. It is actually an opinion. Why is it an opinion? Because I can't verify it as fact. So this is my opinion. See, I know the difference between a fact and an opinion. 2 + 2 = 4 is a fact. I can have facts back up my opinion. I can prevent evidence to back up my opinion. But so can anybody. Anybody can take an opinion that they have and then pull a number of quotes and sources that back that position up, or that assist in that position. That doesn't make it a fact. It is evidence to provide validity, perhaps, to, but it's only one side. That's another thing I see a lot. You get people that start a fucking problem, right? And then you turn around and you present them with the fact that you went in this area that you're not supposed to be in. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. I saw you go in an area that was not there, or that you're not supposed to go in. You went in a restricted area. Well, no, actually, I didn't. Well, actually, you did. No, you didn't. There's security cameras everywhere. Go and check the security cameras. You'll see I wasn't there. Well, I don't need to check the security cameras because I know that you're there. I see a lot of this this is an example of the kind of thing that I see. I see this a lot. Drives me fucking crazy. I'm using this as an analogy, but I see this a lot. Oh, well, I don't need to see the evidence because I already know. Well, if you already know, then there shouldn't be a problem with you seeing the evidence. Because if it backs up your opinion. Oh, well, I'm just going to say that you were there. Well, no, that would be lying. Well, sorry, but I wasn't there, and I don't like your attitude. Well, sir, I'm not gonna put up with that. Blah blah blah. Well, it doesn't matter. If you want to mete out punishment, admonishment, if you want to make an accusation that something happened, and the other person has a hard, indisputable method of showing that they didn't do something, you don't have the right to A, enforce anything, and B, you don't have the right to turn around and say, you can't make an assertion, you can't blame somebody for something, and then when evidence exists to exonerate that person, then turn around and say that you don't feel like it and that you're going to keep that initial position. If you tell you don't have the right to get offended if somebody turns around and says, no, I wasn't there. There's video evidence showing that I wasn't there. Fuck off. I will pursue this if, you accuse me of something I didn't do. If you say at 11 o'clock p.m. you were at 7-Eleven buying a Reese Peace bar, and you were there from 11 o'clock to 11:15, and then you go in there and every single fucking camera shows that you weren't there, and, there's a live stream of you at home playing World of Warcraft or Skyrim or something, you can't turn around and say, well, I don't need to see the footage that you were at home and the footage that shows that you weren't at 7-Eleven. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And this is the sort of thing, Tilk, go lie down. Now. See, my dog's opinion is that he gets as much attention as he wants, whenever he wants, and he doesn't have to subjugate his own wants or needs at any time. But he is learning that that's not going to fly, but he'll push his luck. But at least my dog is smart enough to know that it's not going to work. Every so often he'll whine, and he knows it's not going to work, and I tell him to go lie down, and he does it. At least he doesn't really argue. If I have a fucking dog that has enough emotional maturity to know that if he tries something that he knows is not acceptable and can drop it, then you would think that a bunch of human beings can do it. Why is it that I basically have a police dog that's smart enough to know that, oh, well, no harm trying, this isn't going to work, I'm going to save my energies elsewhere? If my fucking dog can do it, why can't we do it? Why are we unable to have a basic, mature conversation? As I say, it's okay to disagree. We don't have to agree on everything all the time. And just because somebody disagrees with you does not mean that they are against your very existence, and it doesn't give you the right to turn around and make their life a living hell. If somebody doesn't agree with you, you don't have the right to harass them. You don't have the right to dox them. You don't have the right to turn around and try to bully them, manhandle them, blackmail them, shame them, publicize them in an effort to bully them into your way of thinking. That is not okay. That's not okay. And that's why it's illegal. If you publish information, personal information, and you get caught, you get charged criminally and you go to jail. It's that simple. The idea that everybody on the internet is an expert and that suddenly everybody's skilled profession is up for debate by a bunch of fucking amateurs that don't know anything about anything other than to take their fat fingers and jack off is unbelievable to me. If you aren't a lawyer or you do not have formal legal training and you have not even taken 1L, if you haven't gone to U of T, hell, if you haven't even gone to Osgood or Syracuse University or anywhere, like if you haven't gone to law school or have any formal legal training, you don't have a right to sit there and tell a lawyer that they don't know what they're talking about. You can tell them that, you don't necessarily agree with that, and you can certainly speak to another lawyer, but you don't actually have a right to turn around and say that you know more about their profession than they do. If you did, you can go in and self-represent and see how well you fare. You're going to get your ass handed to you by the prosecutor because you don't know. Everybody doesn't seem to have a problem with this concept of just going in and just running their mouth. And doctors, too. Everybody's a fucking expert. Oh, well, the doctors don't know what they're doing. Okay. And what university did you go to? Where the fuck did you go? Where did you do your residency? A good friend of mine, Dr. Rayner, Dr. Chris Rayner, runs Human 2.0. He's got a very successful YouTube channel, and he is our medical consultant for Go Nitro. And then his son is Wolfie. He's like 7 million subscribers with very, very intelligent, very cool people. And I see comments on Dr. Rayner's Instagram. And I know Dr. Rayner personally. I see Dr. Rayner, these stupid comments, really, really rude comments, in addition to uneducated ones, comments of a racial nature, which shouldn't have anything to do with anything. They're just absolutely insulting comments. Dr. Rayner is one of the best sports doctors there is. He's one of the best orthopedic surgeons there is. I'll tell you, if I'm doing jiu-jitsu or Krav Maga or whatever, or in any of the sports that I do, or martial arts, and I fuck up my foot, if there's anybody that I want opening me up and doing surgery, it's Dr. Rayner. He's the guy that you want. Yet, the stuff that people leave on his channel and the stuff people comment on his channel, just they're arguing with him, and they're not doctors, and they're turning around and insulting his intelligence. This is one of the smartest people I know. And one of the coolest people I know, too. There aren't too many people that have the triple threat of just A, being awesome, B, being smart, C, being a doctor, and just being just general, incredibly cool people. And Amanda and everything, too. Yet, somebody like Dr. Rayner is having to put up with this crap. Now, he handles it all in stride. But like all of us, he's human, and some people cross the line. A lot of people cross the line. This is what I'm talking about. It's okay. I'm not saying that if there's a medical, if you don't agree with the medical opinion that you get, that you take it as gospel, right? Any good doctor is going to turn around and tell you, okay, well, much like law, medicine is, you're going by case study. Most of the time, you're going to have it, but every so often, yeah, it can be wrong. It can be wrong. Sometimes you have certain types of cells and certain types of illnesses that look like other things, right? We have really good imaging equipment now, medical imaging equipment, but every so often, you might have something that looks like something else. A misdiagnosis can occasionally happen, but most of the time it doesn't. But then you go and you get a second opinion, right? What you do is you get an aggregate of various opinions, and then you make a judgment call as best you can based on A, how you feel about the doctor, and B, the consistency of information. But you don't go and you tell the doctor that they don't know what they're doing, or that they don't appear that they know what they're doing based on the opinion of what you think they should be able to do based on what they look like or how they sound. They went to medical school. You didn't. You didn't get into medical school. You didn't go to medical school, much less a residency. They're fully authorized to cut you open and weld you shut with a warranty, basically, and you're sitting there telling them how to do their job? How the fuck are you going to deal with a scalpel? I had a skin cancer on my leg, and it was just surface, it didn't, so it was gone. But my surgeon, Dr. Peters, the guy's an artist. Big, took a big chunk out of the leg. Now there's just like a little scar. You have any idea how hard that is? The way that you sew something shut is going to make a big difference on how visible the scar is going to be, and a bunch of other stuff. It's different types of stitches, and I mean, it's you almost wonder if it's worth getting up in the morning and doing a good job on anything. Because no matter how good of a job you do on something, there's always some asshole that has to piss in your oatmeal. Um, but at the same time, I mean, I'm sure a lot of these folks have days like that. I have days like that. I mean, why am I? I have days where I'm working on the show, and I'm like, why am I even doing this? But then you get a cool message from kids or whatever, and it's a cool job. It's like, well, you know what? I don't want to do a shitty job. I don't want to do a shitty job. I want to do a good job on what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it for me. And I know that there are people out there that appreciate it, and that's just how I'm going to roll. Do it for your own personal pride, but there are people that appreciate it. So I've been going on and on and on and on and on and on and on like a gas-fed duck, and I haven't played any music. So I guess I should shut up and play some music. So I'm going to, what I will do is I will do some rants because I've got some interesting emails from people that like them. I mean, it's cathartic for me, but I'll start putting them under their own things. So yeah. Anyway, let's move over to camera 2 here and get ourselves going. Actually, one other cool thing about this YOLO Pro thing that I'm buying is that normally when you do this comes from television switching. I mean, generally you don't want to usually you'll have a separate person doing a switcher, but for live streaming that's not always possible. But because of the way that I have the room sort of set up, because of the way that I have the room set up, you I don't I don't really have anywhere I can put the switcher closer to me. So I actually have to get up to move to somewhere else so that I can get up and just do my switch my source. In the case of the the audio and just the various inputs that I have, I mean, I could put Strata Pro and connect it and with an RJ45 and all this stuff, but it's a really complicated way of doing a really simple thing. Whereas if I have in addition to the space that I'm saving, if I have the YOLO Box Pro sitting here on my desk, then I can it's right there, and I can just quickly and quietly and secretly change to another camera. And I can change to a camera more frequently, and a different camera more frequently, so that we're not stuck on the same, whoa, falling off my chair here. We're not stuck on the same frequency, or we're not stuck on the same camera angle all the time, because, that's kind of boring. Anyway, we shall go back to this. That's actually not the sound that I want. I should probably at some point get out of these presets and show how to make some original programmed sounds, because I haven't done that yet. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do something like that. That would be very cool. It's just, like I said, I'm finding my feet with it, and so what do we want for sounds? I guess some days will be more talky and some will be more musically or whatever. And there'll be days where it'll be like, boy, I wish that guy would just shut the fuck up. It's not The View, for God's sakes. And other days it's just music. But as I say, it is a live cast and performance. Sometimes you'll get more performance. Sometimes you'll get less performance. And I will put other stuff on here too. I don't actually know how to finish that sentence. Well, I think I've said enough as it is. You know what? Maybe I'll turn off the reverb for a change. I tend to be obsessed with reverb. So I'll take the reverb and I'll turn that off. Oh, this is pretty 80s. I do find that the reverb tends to bring out an interesting. I mean, you don't always need to have a reverb, but I find that with the Prophet 5, it tends to add something. I guess this is supposed to be an organ of some kind. Sounds kind of Commodore 64-ish to me. How long have I been streaming right now anyway? Oh, I've been on live for an hour and 17 minutes. Whole lot of yammering. This sound is boring me. This is kind of Moog-esque.